Hi and welcome back. Hey, there's nothing worse than mentioning the wrong company in the wrong context when you're speaking to IT people. They need to know that you know all the big players within the industry. So this is just really a summary module in terms of making sure we go through all the companies that are the big players and that you have a record of these under your belt as well. I've broken them down into a number of categories and we'll go through all of these categories in turn. But as I said during the entire program, we've mentioned some of these already throughout our narrative, and so you will be familiar with these, but definitely a lot of these will turn up on CVs as well. So firstly, let's kick off with the application software realm and the big players in the software arena. Now, these are really companies that make the application software, they make apps, and this could be at different levels, right down from smartphones right up through to enterprise. The software industry, of course, also means operating systems as well. So there are huge players in this arena, and we've got the big ones here, including Microsoft and Unix. Linux is the most popular flavor of the Unix paradigm. And of course, you have iOS and Android here as well. So Microsoft and Apple are actually extremely strong in both the application side of things and the operating side of things as well. The one thing you also need to understand, and we mentioned it earlier, is that software is not necessarily completely off the shelf. It can be semi off the shelf or commercial off the shelf. Sometimes they call it customized off the shelf, and sometimes they call it commercial off the shelf. But essentially, this is software that you can tweak, although the core of it is set. Now, this is not a definitive list of companies, but a lot of these companies are there as key COTS players today. And there are obviously players who purely focus on web-based environments as well. And some companies, of course, are born of that environment. So for example, Salesforce, Amazon, they are purely web players and they were born of the web. I mentioned these in summary because there are, of course, many industries, that many players in the entire online arena, and we've got to make sure that you understand it. But at the time of filming, Amazon is the richest company in the world now as a result of their online activities. There is a group of software known as ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning. And this is the idea of bringing in software modules so that you can actually integrate systems together and help people in systems integration, not by building things from scratch, but building things in a modular way, and you already have those modules. So essentially, what is ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning is a modular approach to systems integration. Now you could be combining two different companies together, or you could be combining two departments together. You could simply be merging old and new software together, but essentially they have ready built bricks like Lego bricks that they will come in and they will put in. And of course, SAP is the big player here. There are other players, of course. Oracle is one of the biggest competitors to SAP, and Microsoft also come into the ERP space as well. Moving on to hardware. And of course, when we look at hardware, it's broken down into these different categories. And you can think of them as being sort of large machines and desktop machines, and then sort of handheld smart devices. So in the mainframe industry, really the name that comes out from history is IBM, but we have got HP in here and Fujitsu here as well. In terms of the desktop arena, the big players are IBM, who invented the PC, but they passed that license on to Lenovo, a Chinese company. So Lenovo at the time of filming is the biggest PC manufacturer in the world. Here, of course, you also have the likes of Dell and Hewlett-Packard as well. Finally, in the realms of handheld and tablets, of course, the mighty Apple comes in here. Depends on how you measure success in terms of either revenue or numbers of devices sold, but by operating system, well, Android is the market leader in this environment, and Samsung is the biggest Android player. But you've got Huawei in here, Apple in here, and Microsoft does have their own series called the Surface series, which can fall into this remit as well. It's worth looking at companies that are involved in things like networking, consultancy, and big data, and I've got them summarized here as well. Cisco, of course, is a major player in the networking arena, and Cisco is all about routers and setting up very, very sophisticated routers within a high volume networking environment. And so Cisco is a huge player within the networking scene, really the largest. And their biggest competitor is a company called Juniper. They too turn up on CVs in the networking realm. Let's quickly define consultancies as well. So when we talk about consultancies, we're talking about companies that can address most of the issues of large organizations. So essentially, they don't just focus on applications or operating system or just hardware. They can cover all three layers of our IT model. So they don't focus on one particular area. They are solutions providers. And that's what a consultancy really is. It's a problem solver across the board. And they'll take care of your entire problem relating to IT and give you an all-encompassing solution, including HR very often as well. So they'll do the recruitment of IT people as well. So it's a complete package. It's a very expensive game. And here are the big players in this arena here.